Hello, everyone, once again, and welcome to Indiana University East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. This afternoon, we're at Grace College in Winona Lake, Indiana, for the Grace College Invitational. This afternoon, the Red Wolves will be taking on the Lancers from Grace College. IU East fell the other night to Judson University in the Red Wolf season opener with a score of 3-1, I do believe. Keep going. About a minute behind. Okay.
Audio's good.
Okay. Hello, everyone, once again, and welcome to IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. I'm Caleb Gillock, along with IU East Assistant Athletic Director and Sports Information Director Kyle Wright. Kyle, how are you this afternoon?
Doing great. Good to be back at Grace. Some good memories for IU East Volleyball here. Hopefully can have some more this weekend.
Well, as you mentioned, of course, we're at Grace College in Winona Lake, Indiana, as they are here the next 2 days for the Grace College Invitational. And that'll be 4 games for the Red Wolves throughout the next 24 hours. But, of course, first up today will be the Grace College Lancers. That's the first opponent of the Red Wolves this afternoon. The other night, the Red Wolves fell in 4 sets against Judson University in the season opener at home. That was on Wednesday night. IU East is 3-1 all-time against Grace, with wins against the Lancers in the Grace tournaments in 2009, 2010, and 2011. And also in 2009, 2010, and 11, IU East won the Grace College tournament in August. IU East has won its first tournament of the season in each of the past 5 years, so it will definitely be an exciting next 2 days for the Red Wolves.
Yeah, IU is definitely a tradition of playing well in the early part of the season. Well, really tradition of playing well throughout the year, but August in particular had a history of good summer conditioning history, good early practice, getting to it early history, and it's paid off with good results in the early season. So some tests this weekend. It's a good mix of opponents. No national powers, but also no, for lack of a better, no weak sisters either. I got a combination of schools that are in very good conferences or had very good records last year or have a good tradition of success. So this is just about right for an opening weekend. To use the analogy of the 3 bears with the porridge, you didn't want it too hot, you didn't want it too cold, you wanted it just right. I'd say the level of competition for this weekend is about just right. No one too hard. I don't think there's anyone we're going to play that I would consider too easy. It's all going to be just right for seeing where the Red Wolves are at this point of the season.
Well, it's like you said, it's definitely a good match for the beginning of the season, as this tournament will mark the 1 month away from the next time that the Red Wolves are at home. So it's 1 month before they're back at home. That's going to be on September the 20th. So a long time on the road for the Red Wolves before they have their next home match.
11 matches, and probably a good time to do it. For these, it's 11 matches, and 8 of those away matches will be during the first week of school. So again, remember, we got student athletes here, so the fact that we can get so much of our road schedule out of the way, really before classes even get into full swing, that's a really good way to go about things as far as making it possible for the players not only to be good volleyball players, but to enable them to have a good semester in the classroom as well.
Well, taking a look at the opponent, of course, Grace College is the first opponent this evening of the Red Wolves. Grace finished 20-17 last season. The Lancers' 3rd consecutive 20-win season. Outside hitter Kayla Cruz and Ellie Harp were all Crossroads League performers for the Lancers in 2013. Outside hitter Hannah Clemens and middle hitter Alex Underwood were honorable mention All-League honorees. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the Lancers pair up with the Red Wolves this afternoon.
Grace is just a good, solid program. They've got to the point where you can count on them to win 20 matches or more every year. You can count on them to finish in the top half of their conference, which is the Crossroads League, which is one of the top conferences in the Midwest. So a good, solid, not just a good, solid team, but a good, solid program. They've got some key returnees at each of the main spots as far as across the front row, at the setter position, and in the back row. So, again, they were 20-17 this year. I expect by the time it's all said and done this year, they'll probably have much more than 20 wins. Just as an IU East fan, hopefully one of those isn't today.
And well, as you mentioned earlier, the Crossroads League, we were talking about this earlier. Didn't you say, in your opinion, it's one of the more tough conferences to compete in your opinion?
Definitely. Volleyball-wise, definitely in the Midwest. With volleyball, the super power teams are kind of on the West Coast and a couple in Texas. But as far as Midwest volleyball, Crossroads League, you're not going to find any that are a lot better. They're superpower in basketball. That's where they tend to put people in the national championship game, both men's and women's basketball every single year. So that's going to be the measuring stick there. As far as at the Midwest level, Crossroads League, if you're a volleyball team, if you get a win against a Crossroads League team, you've had a good day.
All right. Well, let's have you stand and begin with a word of prayer, then we'll honor America with the national anthem, and then we'll have you meet the ladies that will be playing here in contest number 1. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for bringing us to this point of the season. The season home opener for our Lady Lancers and the second match of the season for the Red Wolves of IU East. We pray in advance for the other teams that are making their way to the Classic this afternoon and being here all weekend, that you'll grant them safety, you'll grant them a good time of athletic competition at the college level. Thanks for the officials, the third team on the field and on the court, that you'll bless them with just skill and have a good flow of the game, and it'll just be an enjoyment to watch them work the game as well. Thanks, Lord, that we can invite you to be part of the competition. Thanks for the fan bases. We just give this classic tournament up to you this weekend. May you be glorified by the competition. In Jesus' name, amen. If you're a guest at the MOCC, the flag is to the right of the main stage. Let's honor America at this time. Our national anthem. Now let's have to meet the participants here on court number 1 for the first match. All right, it is time for volleyball here at Grace College. Of course, the IU East Red Wolves taking on the Grace College Lancers. IU East looking for their first win of the regular season tonight, as they are 0-1 to begin the season after falling to Judson University the other night on Wednesday with a 3-1 score. Judson was able to win the match in 4 the other night. IU East definitely has the ability to win this game, in my opinion. It'll be interesting to see how they match up. Of course, you just got off the bus 2 hours ago from a 3-hour bus ride, but they definitely seem to have lots of energy right here before the game.
They do. Key tonight, I think, will be you tend to notice the kills, the exciting stuff at the net, but the ball control is going to be the key for IU East tonight. Allowed 16 aces against Judson on Wednesday, and a whole bunch of other times where there wasn't necessarily an ace, but things got out of system, is the term our coaches have always liked to use. So not only avoiding the aces, but trying to keep things in system that allow the Red Wolf hitters, who are the experienced part of the team, that'll allow them to get a free swing and much better odds of coming out on top this afternoon.
And it's definitely kind of interesting to see how, with this being such a young team at IU East, how they're improving already this season since the scrimmage a week ago.
They have, again, there's 11. There will be 11 folks playing for us eventually. 9 are playing right now. 4 are returnees. Those are all in the front row. So everyone else, all the defensive players and the setters, those are newcomers to IU East. So very quickly adapting to the college level. I had some friends that I knew from high school that attended the match on Wednesday. Even though IU East didn't come out on top, they'd never seen a college level match. And even though I think even Coach Kneecap would say that wasn't an A+ performance, but the people that came to that were my high school friends that were used to seeing the high school level were really impressed with the level of play. So quickly making that adjustment for the newcomers from the high school level to the college level.
All right, well, we're getting finished up with the starting lineups here at the Grace College before the match starts. And it definitely seems like it will be an exciting 2 days for our Red Wolves as we get ready to go here with the Grace College Lancers and your Indiana University East Red Wolves.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
All right, looks like we're ready to go here with IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. Once again, I'm Caleb Gillock, along with Assistant Athletic Director and Sports Information Director at IU East, Kyle Wright, as the Red Wolves take on the Grace College Lancers. This being the first of 4 opponents for the Red Wolves this weekend.
Yeah, we're also, after this match, please stay tuned. IU East will play Goshen at 5:30, basically right after this match. Tomorrow, start the day with a match against IU Kokomo. That is a conference rival, but that'll be a non-conference match. The conference match will be later in the year, and we'll wrap it up with Indiana Tech, a school that IU East Volleyball has a lot of history with.
All right, looks like we're making sure everybody's on the floor. Red Wolves eager to play after a 3-hour bus ride. It's definitely good to see that they have a lot more energy than what was on the bus earlier. I thought it was a really quiet bus ride on the way over here.
They had a great movie on, a Will Ferrell movie, but I think you and I may have been the only two awake at the end to see the finish of kicking and screaming. But I would much rather them save their energy for the match than for any movie viewing on. I call it Wolfmobile Jr., the second of the 2 IU East buses came aboard our fleet last spring. A very nice ride on the way up today.
Definitely was. All right, here we go. Here's the first serve from the Red Wolves. That'll be 2 hits, point to the Red Wolves. Starting server tonight for the Red Wolves is Caitlin Kelly, the freshman out of Franklin, Indiana, that went to Franklin Community High School. Here's the serve.
Hit the wire, good start for IU East.
IU East has the 2-0 lead to get things started here in the first set.
The common thread on the 3 sets IU East lost on Wednesday, the really slow starts in each of those 3 sets. So even though 2 points, obviously a long way to 25, but good to see them start out with the first 2 points of this one.
That will be off the hands of the Red Wolves to give a point to the Lancers. Their first point of the set. IU East still has the lead 2-1. Looks like Kayla Cruz serving for the Lancers.
Good first contact for IU East on the serve receive. That set up the whole thing. Didn't get a kill for Bailey Gates, but then that put Grace in a bit of a defensive situation, partly led to the error, and gave the Red Wolves a 3-1 lead.
Red Wolves with the 3-1 lead. Here's the serve from Detweiler. That will be out of bounds long as well, and now the Red Wolves have the 4-1 lead.
I'm certainly not a volleyball expert, but we've seen a couple misses early from Grace, especially in the early season. You can have success by simply avoiding errors or letting the other team make errors as opposed to anything you might do yourself. So obviously you're going to need to do some good things yourself to pull it out, but Red Wolves maybe can take advantage of some early mistakes because this is the first game of the year for Grace. Red Wolves do have the 1 game under their belt.
Served by Detweiler went long to give a point to the Lancers. They had the 4-2 lead, and a point there gives IU East the 5-2 lead. Bailey Gates now serving for the Red Wolves. Here's the serve. A little confusion up there in the front row on the Lancers' part. Here's another point to the Red Wolves now, 6-2.
My apologies on the score. I was used to IU East being home. I'm running the score graphic as well.
Point there to the Lancers, now 6-3. Bailey Gates, of course, was just serving for the Red Wolves. She's a 5'10 freshman out of Winchester, Indiana. And here's the serve from number 18, Jessica Sherb.
Got in the net on Morgan Dobbs. There was the call for that, making it 6-4.
So IU East has the 6-4 lead after the net violation. Here's the serve from Grace. This will fall and give another point to the Lancers, now 6-5.
Saw Morgan Steinbrenner, 21, take a bit of a tumble up front. Certainly hope everyone's healthy. Red Wolves with 9 players available tonight, so certainly need to keep everyone healthy as much as possible.
Nice effort there by Morgan Dobbs, and that will give the Red Wolves the 7-5 lead.
That ball made it all the way. We're on essentially a running track level, about 30 feet above the field of play. That ball made it all the way up here. That may be, we don't have a category for that in the record books, but that may be the highest that an IU East kill has wound up.
All right, 7-5. Here's the serve from Madison Mangus. IU East able to keep the ball alive off the block. Once again, keeping the ball alive off the block. And up front, Morgan Steinbrenner with the block to give a point to the Red Wolves, 8-5.
Whole bunch of activity, not only on the block, but Madison Euler, the libero, that's the person in the red shirt, cleaning up some of the deflections. So great defensive play on that point for IU East. That hit the stripe again.
Grace College trying to go for the kill there, which went out of bounds. Madison Mangus still serving for the Red Wolves. 9-5 lead now for IU East. Here's the serve for Mangus. And just out of bounds to give a point to the Lancers, now 9-6.
Like the defensive play I've seen so far for IU East. The hitting's going to be there. That's IU East's most experienced players. Probably their strength at this point. If the defense is there, then they're going to get plenty of good chances to get a swing at it.
Lancers able to keep the ball alive on their side of the net for another rally here. And this one will be out of bounds off of the Red Wolves, now 9-7. IU East still hangs on the lead by 2 in the first set. Nice kill there by number 13, Mallory Livingston, to give a point to the Red Wolves, now 10-7.
Mallory can get up. She is the one over the years. I do a lot of the photography for the team as well. A lot of the shots I take are from, again, above the net level. She is one of the few that her head and her arm are above the net on those photos I take. A lot of players, it's just the arm. She can definitely get up there.
Livingston is a 5'9 junior from Union City, Ohio, went to Mississinawa Valley High School. Point to the Lancers now, 10-8. Trina Detweiler unable to return the ball across the net. Narrows the lead to 1 point, 10-9 for the Red Wolves. Nice effort there by Madison Yoder. The Red Wolves libero. Here's Livingston once again. Just a little outside to the right of Madison Mangus. And that ties the set up at 10.
Grace on a bit of a run. I think 9-5 was the biggest IU East lead, so that means Grace is on a little 5-1 surge here. Need to side out and stop that momentum as soon as possible.
That one off the hands of the Red Wolves gives Grace their first lead of the night, 11-10.
Calling a back row attack there on IU East setter Caitlin Kelly. She, even though she was standing in the front row in this part of the rotation, she's considered back row, so that was why the point went to Grace there.
12-10, Grace has the lead by 2. Steinbrenner up front. This one will drop over the front of the net and gave a point to the Red Wolves, now 12-11.
Able to stop the damage here. That was one thing that was a factor on Wednesday when things went haywire for IU East. They kind of stayed haywire. It's a long match. Even if you win every point, there's going to be 75 points. So, I mean, at some point, something's going to go astray. So the quicker you can stop the bad stretches, just know they're going to happen, but try to stop them as soon as possible. If IU East can make the bad stretches a little shorter and make their good stretches a little longer, that'll definitely bode well for them at this tournament.
13-11 now. Lancers have the lead. Katrina Dentweiler up front for the Red Wolves.
Nice touch up front there.
Now 13-12 after the touch up front, as Kyle mentioned. Looks like Morgan Dobbs back in for the Red Wolves.
They were getting a lineup check there. The teams are allowed to ask the referee for a lineup check. I think that's what Grace was doing during that delay there. Almost a block for Bailey Gates. She had a huge night on Wednesday. Had a hand in 7 blocks, which is 2 of those were solo, but that's a huge number, especially for a freshman. So really liking what we're seeing out of Bailey early in her freshman season.
14-12 now. Grace has the lead. Waiting on the serve. Here's the serve from Cruz. This will be out of bounds on the left side of the floor and gives Grace a 3-point lead, 15-12.
Morgan Dobbs had the opening there, just couldn't quite hit the target, but I think she took the correct angle, just didn't quite get the spot she wanted.
There's Detweiler. Detweiler now going back to serve for the Red Wolves, 15-13. Here's the serve from Katrina Detweiler, and that one will go long and give a point to the Lancers, 16-13.
All right, this is about the point if your IU East need to make a move. It's only a 3-point deficit, but then as you get later and later on, let's say that we're 5 points from now, it's still, let's say, 21-18. That means you got to go on a 7-2 run to win the set. So if you're going to make up a deficit, it's easier or considerably less pressure to start making that move now as opposed to leaving yourself less room for error later in the set.
Ball back in play. Livingstone is trying to get a kill there across the net.
It's a bad break there. I'm certainly not going to question any official calls. I think she got more net than post, but she got it in a spot that it made all of it move, so that led to the call of out.
17-13 and a kill by Grace College's number 8, Kelly Fedema. The Red Wolves will take a timeout. We'll take a timeout as well. Grace College leads the first set, 18-13. You're watching IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And we're back with more IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. I'm Caleb Gillock. Right now, the Grace College Lancers lead 18-13 here in the first set. IU East playing its first of 4 games between today and tomorrow.
Busy weekend, 4 games. If it takes the standard 2 hours, it's going to be 4 games in 24 and a half hours. So a very busy 24-hour stretch for the Red Wolves.
Ball in play. There's Livingston for the Red Wolves. And that one will go out and give a point to IU East. Now 18-14, only trailing by 4.
Good action by IU East coming out of the timeout. A few good swings at it. Also did some good work on defense. So good to see the quick response coming out of the timeout.
I think the timeout did help just kind of regroup a little bit after having the lead and then falling behind a little bit. I think maybe it helped them regroup just a little
absolutely. I think it was definitely, especially after that emphatic attack that one of the Grace players had prior to that timeout, definitely a point where some regrouping was needed.
Grace now up by 5, 19-14 as the ball went out of bounds. It's the serve from the Lancers. And it looks like the point will go to the Red Wolves, now 19-15.
Say Morgan Dobbs threw a bit of in baseball terms, almost a change up there, went off the hands of the Grace blocker and bounced back over on the IU East side. So point there to stay within striking distance in this first set.
Madison Mangus back to serve for the Red Wolves. Last went to West Virginia State University. Only a sophomore. That one will go out of play as well. Now the lead cut to 3, 19-16 for the Lancers. Mangus will continue to serve for the Red Wolves. Lancers unable to return that one as it fell and hit the floor and cuts the lead down to 2, 19-17, and Grace is going to take a timeout here. We'll take another quick timeout as well. IU East trails by 2 to Grace College, 19-17. You're watching IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network.
I'm Dr. Ganesh Ramachandran, the region's only hand specialist at Reed Orthopedic Center. Patients love how easy it is having everything under one roof and how easy it is to get here. Right here at Reed Orthopedic Center, right here in Richmond.
And we're back with IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. Grace College leads 19-17. And that one will go out of bounds and narrow the lead to 1, 19-18.
Very good response by IU East. I think they trailed by as much as 5. When they got behind by that much against Judson on Wednesday, never really able to get back in. In the fourth game, got it tied in within 1 a couple times. And the other 2 sets didn't really make a run back at it. So good to see them. Obviously, would prefer not to get down 5 in the first place, but good to see them making a run at it to not only catch up, but fully tie the set.
Madison Mangus serving for the Red Wolves. Lancers unable to keep the ball alive, and it went out of bounds to tie it up at 19. Here's the serve from Mangus. And the kill attempt there by Morgan Steinbrenner. A little outside, and gives the 1-point lead back to the Lancers.
We'll take that look anytime we can get it. Morgan Steinbrenner with as close as you're going to get to an open look in good level college volleyball. This one just happened to go a little long.
Long rally here between the two teams, trying to keep the ball alive. And that went off of the hands of Ellie Harp up in the front row and ties it back up at 20.
Nice defense on a couple occasions by IU East. Got out of it, got an actual swing out of system, I believe, which is always a good thing, able to keep Grace from getting kind of a free swing at it. Was able to regroup and win the point on a nice swing by Mallory.
Red Wolves trying to keep the ball alive as it just barely goes back over the top of the net. This one will be deflected out of bounds and gives the 1-point lead back to Grace. 21-20.
All right, crunch time here. It's first to 25, win by 2, so you don't want to lose contact. A 2-point deficit at 2-0, not a big deal, but a 2-point deficit at 22-20, which is now what it is, then again, it doesn't leave you a whole lot of margin for error when you're going to 25. So you need to end this run as quickly as possible if you're IU East.
Like you said, each set played to 25, best out of 5. If you go into a fifth set, you play to 15. The serve from Hannah Clemens.
Nice work there by Katrina Detweiler. The serve went to her. A good, it looked to me, in-system pass to Caitlin Kelly. Back to Katrina. Found an open spot. She's definitely got good touch to go with her power and stopped that run. Got IU East back within 1.
Madison Yoder serving for the Red Wolves, a 5'5" freshman from Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis. It goes long out of bounds, tied up at 22.
Good duck by Mallory and Madison Yoder. I don't know if that's something you practice or not, but ball was heading right at them. They both got out of the way, and correctly so, it landed long, tied things back up at 22.
Here's the serve from Yoder. And there was a whistle blown.
Grace was celebrating, but Grace is also who they're talking to, so not quite sure of the call. The scoreboard hasn't moved, so I assume just an inadvertent start of play.
And that one will fall to the floor on the Red Wolves side. Now 23-22.
Bailey got up there with her, was going up against the 6'2" opponent, but the height made out one out over leaping ability on that one.
That one long and out of bounds to tie it up at 23.
See if the Red Wolves can get ahead. Goes without saying at this point of the game, if you're the 1 point ahead as opposed to 1 point behind, considerably less pressure. So big point here for IUE, see if they can be the first one to get to a set point situation.
This one falls on the Lancer side of the net. Gives the Red Wolves the 1 point lead back. IU East leads 24-23 in the first set. We'll be right back with more Red Wolves volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And welcome back to IU East. Lead 24-23 in the first set, trying to win it, and that one out of bounds, and will give the first set to the Red Wolves 25-23. They will win their first set in the Grace College tournament in their first match as well, and they'll take the 1-0 lead after they just beat the Grace Lancers in the first set 25-23. We'll be right back with more IU East Red Wolves volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network. And welcome back to Indiana University East Volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network. Red Wolves currently lead the match 1-0 after just defeating the Grace Lancers 25-23 in the first set. Kyle, what do you think about the first set?
Well, we talked about the defense, or more specifically the serve receive in the early going. Still a few that went astray, but not nearly as many as happened against Judson, and sure enough, that gave IU East a chance to get back into it. I was just thinking against Judson, I believe to get to set point, there was a ball here today that rolled off the top of the net and bounced on IU's favor. There were several that went off the net against Judson and went against us, and I'm certainly not implying that that's the reason that IU East lost that particular match, but I was just thinking, yes, it's good to see a few bounces go our way at a critical time, and then did some good work on set point, or I believe it was an ace actually on set point to wrap up the set.
All right, Libero's getting checked in here to get started with the second set. Once again, the Red Wolves have the 1-0 lead in the match after just beating the Lancers 25-23. It looks like we're ready to go. Lancers will serve to begin the set.
Now, one thing we definitely don't want to see, IU East won the first set against Judson, then got down, I think it was 14-4. It was just a really quick, really big deficit right off the bat in the second set, which kind of set the tone for the rest of the match. So, in a perfect world, they'll get up 14-4 here, but at the very least, stay within contact early in the second set. Don't lose all that momentum right off the bat.
Ball was hit off the net and unable to be returned over. That'll give the 1-0 lead to the Lancers. Here's the serve from Ellie Harp off of Grace. Nice effort there by Morgan Dobbs, but out of bounds on the left side. 2-0 lead now to Grace.
And I hope I didn't jinx it, but again, 2-0, no biggie. Just need to get things settled quickly, go back to what was working at the end of the first set. Make sure we don't lose contact in this game.
All right, 2-0 lead now for the Lancers. My bad about that, Kyle. I didn't mean to turn you off there.
I'm definitely no expert, but I didn't think my commentary was that bad.
All right, 2-1 now after the point went to the Red Wolves. Katrina Detweiler back to serve for IU East. Her serve will go long, now 3-1 to the Lancers.
Katrina, new to the serving rotation this year, led us in aces in the match on Wednesday with 4. That one went a little astray, but she was off to a good start as far as being part of the serving rotation on Wednesday.
Kill attempt there by Dobbs, out of bounds on the right side. Now 4-1 for the Lancers. The serve across from
nice job by Mallory Livingston all around on that point. The Red Wolves had to send a free ball over. Mallory was the one who sent it, and as free balls go, it was a really good one. Kept it low with a lot of spin. That led to the not as strong return from Grace, which Mallory was able to put away to get back IU East a point.
All right, that serve there into the net, and that is 4-2 now, according to the scoreboard. You have 5-2.
I have 5, but they just adjusted to 5.
Right.
I would have been happy to be wrong, but yeah, they gave both sides a point they shouldn't have. They've got it corrected. 5-2, I believe, is correct.
All right, 5-2. It's Morgan Dobbs off the hands of the Grace Lancers. Now 5-3. Lancers only have the lead by 2 in the second set.
Good attack by Morgan. If the Red Wolves can get her going, that gives a lot of options across the front line.
It is kind of difficult for us to tell who's serving back here on this side, but looks like Madison Mangus checked in to serve for the Red Wolves.
You are right. Quick, that's the one. I guess the only good thing about only having 3 players on the bench is we can quickly tell by process of elimination who's in and who's not. And Madison having a nice little serving stretch. She had the service ace, I should say, to give the Red Wolves the set in the first set, and another one right there for a free point.
Now 5-4. Red Wolves still serving. Grace has the lead by 1. And that one into the net and ties it up at 5.
Mallory and Morgan Steinbrenner both able to get a hand on that for the block, ties it at 5. And sigh of relief from my perspective. I got down 4-1 to start the second set. I was hoping that didn't have another slow start to the second set as they did last week. But looks like they've settled down a bit, have really settled down a bit. There's another ace for Madison Mangus, and hopefully can go on and play volleyball from here.
Red Wolves take their first lead in the second set, 6-5. Once again, they lead the match 1-0 after winning 25-23 over the Lancers in the first set. There's the serve. Not quite sure if you could hear her through our headsets, but Katrina Detweiler giving lots of instructions to her team. Mallory Livingston, nice effort there for the Red Wolves.
Good point both ways. Grace able to just find a spot, a little bit of a gap in the defense there, ties it at 6.
So all tied up at 6 in the second set. Lancers will serve now. And here's the serve.
We'll take it. Probably got a bit of a favor there. That one looked headed out from my perspective. Can't fault someone for hustling. The Grace defender, that was Caitlin Kerrigan, stuck a hand out, and it bounced in favor of the Red Wolves. That puts IU East back up 7-6.
Here's the serve from Livingston. Seems like there might be some sort of confusion up in the front row right now for the Lancers.
And I got to be honest, I've had my eye on IU East more than Grace. But, it does seem like whenever there's a front row 50-50 ball, it seems like IU East is getting the better of it. So I guess I will say hopefully there's not any confusion, because that means we're getting it on at their best as opposed to a discombobulated situation.
IU East has the lead by 1 there after the point to the Lancers, 8-7. The serve, this one
nice.
Off the hands of looks like, I can't really tell, kind of looked like number 4 there for a minute. 4.
I think you're right, that was the spot. That would be Kerrigan again. Nice touch by Caitlin Kelly. I haven't seen her attempt a whole lot of setter attacks. That was surely caught Grace off guard, because I know it caught me off guard, and good for a point for IU East.
Red Wolves have the lead now by 3 after that one goes out of bounds, 10-7. Nice hustle there by Madison Yoder for the Red Wolves, keeping the ball alive. Try to keep it alive there again, but just a little short. Nice hustle there, though, by Yoder.
It was. That was almost the Madison Yoder point if the Red Wolves could have pulled it out. She had a heck of a serve. I was actually impressed that Grace made a really good play on it. And then Madison with a couple really nice digs to keep the point alive for IU East. Good effort by number 4 in red on that point.
10-8, and another point to the Red Wolves increases the lead by 3 now, 11-8.
I will say, you mentioned Grace may be a little out of sync on the front row. I do think IU East blocking is perhaps getting to him a little bit, seeing him try some angles, some things that I don't think they were necessarily trying earlier in the match. So I think the blocks that IU East has been able to put on him has turned out to get a few points for IU East. Has gotten in, don't want to say it's gotten in their heads, but caused them to try some things that maybe they don't necessarily want to try, and it's worked out in IU East's favor.
Ball there by the Lancers stayed inbounds, 11-9 now. They narrow the lead down to 2.
We'll see who can get the next run of points here. IU East kind of had back-to-back push of getting consecutive points. That's what put them back in front. If IU East can string another kind of little run together, that'll put them in really good position in the set. If Grace comes up with the next run, then it looks like we'll be set up for kind of a nip-and-tuck second set.
Ball went out of bounds. That increases lead by 3 once again, 12-9. Logan Beeson checking in to serve now for the Red Wolves, a 5'10 freshman out of Avon.
Red Wolves, we mentioned only 9 players, but they have almost an embarrassment of riches at setter. That's Logan's natural position. She was the backup setter for 2 big school state champion teams at Avon, getting a chance. First action since the first set of that Judson match here this afternoon.
Kill there by the Lancers narrows the lead back to 2, 12-10.
That was Sierra Smith. Grace has a whole bunch of players actually listed at 6'2", which would be as tall as anyone that IU East not only has now but has ever had. That she is indeed one of them, and was able to get a big swing on that.
Ball way to the net to give a point to the Red Wolves, 13-10.
Nice. Again, the defense is making the difference today. Just still not perfect, but just keeping a lot more balls in play, just giving themselves a chance. The other night, one of those attacks probably would have gone haywire. This time they got it over, forced the miss by Grace, and gave themselves a chance to get a point.
This one out of bounds, now 13-11 after the point went to Grace. The serve, and Red Wolves able to keep the ball alive and inbounds for another point, 14-11.
That was a great play by Caitlin Kelly. She was able to take a pretty low pass and turn it into a kill for Morgan Steinbrenner.
Madison Mangus back in to serve for the Red Wolves. They hang on to the 3-point lead in the second set, 14-11.
Madison's probably been IU East's most effective server as far as aces getting Grace out of system. Let's see if that can result in a little run for IU East here. That'd be a very good thing with already being up 3.
Nice effort there by Madison Yoder, keeping the ball alive off of the kill. And this one will fall to the floor, 14-12.
Red Wolf block was there, just off the outside of the hand, drops to the IU East side of the floor. Very good to hustle, not only by Madison Yoder on the dig, but then Caitlin Kelly being alert to get the ball back over the net after Madison kept the play alive.
Serve. And that one will go out of bounds, now 15-12 for the Red Wolves. Serve goes long to give a point to the Lancers, now 15-13. Point to the Lancers, 15-14.
Caitlin tried to save that overpass, but it was 2 against 1, and 2 will usually win out against 1. Much better serve receive there.
All tied up at 15 in the second set. Red Wolves lead the match 1-0 after winning 25-23 in the first set. That one was really close.
It was. I think it was one of those, from the looks of it, everyone thought it was going to land in the 10th row, and then when it landed a lot closer than everyone expected, I think it caught everyone off guard, but close enough that it definitely could have gone either way.
Called out of bounds to give the Lancers the 1-point lead, 16-15. There's Detweiler.
Nice play by Morgan Steinbrenner. She went for that a couple points ago. That time it didn't work out. This time it did put a little more elevation on that tip, and that ties it up at 16.
That's something we talked about the other night. Morgan is really good at being able to place the ball where she wants the ball to go.
Really, all of IUE's front row players are. Katrina, in particular, last year really relied on maybe control more than power. This year, all of them have shown they can hit the ball pretty hard when they need to, but they can also dial it down and hit it with some with accuracy as the primary element when they need to as well.
Lancers now lead 17-16. There's Detweiler. And off the hands of the Lancers defender, ties it back up at 17.
Nice to see Katrina swing freely like that. When she can get a full swing again at 6'2", there is going to be some velocity behind it. So she got, again, as close as you're going to get to an open look at this level, and she did what she's supposed to do with it.
Ball back in play and off the hands of Madison Yoder to give the Lancers the 1-point lead. Here, the past few minutes, it's really just been back and forth between the two teams.
It has, yeah. I get the feeling next little surge, and by surge that can be as little as basically a 2 or 3 point lead, but whoever can get that first is going to have the advantage in this set.
Another point to the Lancers, 19-17 now for Grace College.
All right, Red Wolves pulled one out of the fire last set when they were in a situation like this, but don't want to get too far behind in this set.
Yoder able to keep the ball alive for the Red Wolves. And after that one went off the hands of Livingston, no one was able to get over and get a hand on the ball. Grace has the lead 20-17 in the second set as the Red Wolves lead the match 1-0. We'll take a timeout as well. You're listening to IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And welcome back to Indiana University East Volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network. Grace College leads the Red Wolves right now 20-17 in the second set. Red Wolves took the win in the first set to lead the match 1-0, 25-23. And there's a point to the Red Wolves as kind of looked like the ball is deflected by one of the other offensive people for the Lancers.
Yeah, good block. I believe it was Bailey and Morgan Dobbs were there for the block. Ellie Harp was who served that run for Grace. I don't know if it comes across on your TV screen or not. I thought all of her serves were going to go in the net. She kept them really low to the net, and that got IU East out of system a little bit. So a nice serving run by Ellie Harp to put Grace in a advantageous position in this second set.
Livingston able to keep the ball alive for the Red Wolves. This one's going to go under the net off of the hands of the Lancers and narrow the lead down to 1 for the Lancers, 20-19.
2 quick points and hopefully counting for IU East out of the timeout. So good adjustment, breaking that serving run and getting one of their own to get back in this set.
(20-19). Lancers have the lead. Logan Beeson serves for IU East. Unable to get the block up front, gives the 2-point lead back to the Lancers, 21-19.
Bailey was there, had one-on-one, 6'2" against 5'10", although I'll put Bailey's vertical up against anyone, but in this case went off the left side of her left hand, dropped to the floor, put Grace up by 2.
Livingston up front, blocked by number 20, Grace Woolsey. Now a 3-point lead for the Lancers, 22-19. Here's the serve from the Lancers. And 23-19, only 2 points away now for Grace College. Timeout taken on the floor. We'll take one as well. Grace College leads 23-19 in the second set. We'll be right back with more IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network.
Dylan Newman had a terrible dislocated shoulder after a bad dirt bike accident. The long-term solution, surgery and intense rehab.
I trusted Reed Orthopedics because they had already fixed my ankle. And within 4 months of my surgery, Dr. Miller and my Reed therapist, April, helped me to regain my motion and most of my strength. Thanks to Reed Ortho, I can get back to what I love. It's all about trust. Right, Dr. Miller?
Right here at Reed.
Right here in Richmond.
And we're back with more IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. The Grace Lancers lead in the second set, 23-19. Red Wolves, however, have the 1-0 lead in the match. As we get ready to finish up the set here. Hopefully the Red Wolves can come back and take a win like they did in the last set. Nice effort there by Livingston to give a point to the Red Wolves and narrow the lead down to 3, 23-20.
It's that third time in a row we went to Mallory, this time able to get her in a much more favorable hitting position. I don't think she did anything different. She was just in a more favorable position that time and was able to do what she does when she has a favorable situation.
Looked like Bailey Gates was just short of being able to get a hand on the ball. Now set point for the Lancers. Morgan Steinbrenner up front for the Red Wolves, trying to get a point toward IU East. This one will stay in bounds for the Red Wolves, 24-21.
If we had to pick someone to serve in this situation, down 3 set points, can't lose a point in this match anyway. Madison Mangus is who we would choose for that situation. She's had several long serving runs, could definitely use one now.
There's the serve for Mangus over to the Lancers. Nice block up front by Morgan Steinbrenner, but a point to the Lancers will bring the second set to a close, 25-21. So the match is tied at 1 after the Red Wolves won the first set 25-23. And, of course, the Lancers just won the second set 25-21. We'll be right back with more Indiana University East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. All right, welcome back to Indiana University East Volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network. The match is tied 1-1 between your Indiana University East Red Wolves and the Grace College Lancers. Red Wolves won the first set 25-23. Lancers just won the second set 25-21. And we're all tied up at 1. Kyle, what have we seen out of the two teams so far?
Again, mostly watching the IUE side. The defense still not probably quite where they want it to be. Now, it's not quite as obvious as maybe it was on Wednesday when a lot of the breakdowns resulted in aces or out-and-out overpasses, but still not quite as sharp as I think they're going to be later in the year as far as being able to get an easy set for an easy swing. I think it was a little sharper earlier in the set, which is where IU East was able to build an advantage. Went away a little bit later in the set, which is where Grace pulled back in front to win. So if the Red Wolves can tighten that back up, we've seen what happens when they do. They win points. They seem to have a pretty good collection of front row players that can get points. Just need to, again, it's a total team effort all the way across. Need to get themselves in a situation where they can get lots of good swings like that one.
Red Wolves serve to get things started, and the point will go to them after the long rally. 1-0 lead now for IU East. Caitlin Kelly serving for the Red Wolves. And a kill by number 20, Grace Woolsey, for the Lancers. We're tied up 1-1 here in the third set. And this one out of bounds, and a point to the Red Wolves, gives them the 2-1 lead.
Almost celebrated a little too soon. That's another thing you see a lot in the early season is premature celebrations. Fortunately, Grace unable to collect that after the first contact and point for IU East.
2-1 for the Red Wolves. Caitlin Kelly still serving for IU East. I'm sorry, it's Katrina Detweiler back there serving now for the Red Wolves. Tied up at 2. Serve from number 5, Annie Salazar. And a point to the Red Wolves gives them the lead 3-2.
If you saw it go long, Grace with the touch on the way out, so point for the Red Wolves.
Serve from number 7, Bailey Gates. And a point to the Lancers, tied up at 3. So the third set kind of starting out like the second set ended, back and forth between the two teams.
Mm-hmm. Again, third set against Judson as well, IU East. It wasn't quite as dramatic as the second set, but got a little too far behind to be in a comfortable position. So, yep, that one hit the pole, so point for IU East. So, in a perfect world, you go up 5, and if you don't go up 5, as long as you stay in contact early on and play well when it counts, that's what we'll be looking for in this set.
Red Wolves have the 4-3 lead as Madison Mangus checks in to serve for IU East. Here's the serve. Livingston easy over the net and gives the Red Wolves the 5-3 lead.
That time, Grace with the overpass and give Mallory one on none, and that's a no contest.
Mangus has definitely served a lot tonight for the Red Wolves. Keep saying tonight, but actually I guess this afternoon. Kind of feels like tonight.
So our day, well, your day, you had to drive a little bit, but yeah, our day started at 9 a.m. with the bus ride and, of course, some packing of the bus to get all the equipment here. So, yeah, we can be forgiven for saying evening.
6-3 lead for the Red Wolves. And that one will go out of bounds and give a point to the Lancers, 6-4.
Be curious to see if IU East, this is now the second set in a row they've gotten the early advantage in the set. See if they can, again, push some points and then push some more points to build an extensive lead. Now, Grace is a pretty good team. That's definitely much easier said than done. But we're seeing that they can definitely be right in there with a 20-win team like Grace. Now let's see if they can kind of extend the lead out a little bit against a team of this caliber.
Nice effort there by Mallory Livingston. She's going back to serve. 7-4 lead now for the Red Wolves. And a point to the Lancers, 7-5.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but my sense is both teams, when they look at the stat sheet, they're going to say a few too many serves missed, giving away free points. It seems like IU East in particular has had quite a few since the middle of the second set.
Red Wolves keeping the ball alive. And a point to the Lancers.
Could see the ball spinning. That's typically what the officials look for, so they called the illegal touch on that pass.
Serve just over the top of the net. And a point to the Red Wolves after it's unable to be returned by the Lancers.
That goes as a kill. Madison Yoder hustled in to get that serve return off the net. Defensive players or liberos love it when that happens because officially there's nothing to call it but a kill. So she'll be happy to see the stat sheet with a kill by her name on there. That doesn't happen a lot for the 5-4 folks.
Serve comes up a little short there for the Red Wolves after it hits the net. And 8-7 now after the point goes to Grace. It's the serve from the Lancers.
Got to give credit to Grace there. IU East was in system 2 times in a row, got great swings on it. The first time, great work by the back row, picking the ball up. On the second swing by Katrina, great job by their blockers to get the block. Sometimes you got to give credit to the other folks. That was definitely a situation where that was the case.
Tied up at 8. Here's Detweiler. Ball will go out, and Grace will take a 1-point lead here in the third set.
All right, a few points in a row for Grace. Not that you ever want to lose points, but in this case, IU East is losing them in a good way. As far as I can tell, they've had good passes, been able to get a legitimate swing on each ball. Grace has just been able to pick it up and make a few plays better, but it's definitely not a case where mistakes by IU East are leading to Grace points. In this case, it's I'd say Grace has done some things right on their side of the net, and that's why they've got this 10-8 lead.
IU East is going to take a timeout. They have the lead, or Grace has the lead by 10-8. We'll take a timeout as well. You're listening to IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And we're back with more Indiana University East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network, all tied up in the match 1-1. However, Grace College has the 10-8 lead here in the third set. I'm Caleb Gillock along with Kyle Wright. An 11-8 lead now for the Lancers.
Another nice sequence by Grace. Again, the last 5 points or so for Grace, they've earned them. It's not a case of IU East giving them away. Speaking of giving away.
Yeah, serve goes long, and we'll give a point to the Red Wolves. Narrows the lead back down to 2, 11-9. Morgan Dobbs up front there trying to get an attack for the Red Wolves, but the point will go to the Lancers, 12-9.
I think I made a comment the last set that Grace was affected by the block of IU East. I think the tables have turned a little bit. Ever since the middle of the second set, I'd say of the two teams, Grace's block has been a little more productive than the Red Wolves has.
Another point to the Lancers, 13-9. Detweiler able to keep the ball alive for the Red Wolves with a one-handed hit. And point to the Red Wolves, 13-10. Detweiler will go back to serve now.
This was a double hit on Grace. I didn't see exactly when it happened, but if you're a Red Wolf fan, you will certainly take it at this juncture.
Nice block up front by the Red Wolves. It looks like number 7, Bailey Gates, with the block for the Red Wolves, 13-11.
She makes some plays in the air. If she was a college football player, she could be a wide receiver. Worked at the place where Purdue football was covered for many years, and their coach was always fond of the quarterback's job was just to put it there. It was the receiver's job to go make a play. And Bailey, on the volleyball court, definitely able to go up and make some plays in midair. That she's just been really effective on the block early this season.
Nice effort here by both teams. Keeping the ball alive for a long rally, and that's going to go off the hands of Grace's number 15, Sierra Smith. And there's the lead down to 1 for the Lancers. Katrina Detweiler will go back to serve once more for the Red Wolves.
Again, Bailey going up, making a play. I'm going to go on a limb and say that what she did is not in the playbook anywhere, but by golly, it was effective.
Serve goes long for Detweiler. Now a 2-point lead once again for Grace College, 14-12.
Nice work by IU East there. They ran a quick set or a quick offense on the first attack. Grace handled it well. IU East maybe a touch out of system on the second attack, but Morgan Dobbs able to get a good swing on it. So that was a good job when their primary objective didn't necessarily work, stayed with it, able to get a point out of it on the second swing.
Out of bounds there. Now 15-13 for the Lancers. Jessica Scherr back in to serve for Grace.
Called is one of those that maybe looked worse than what it actually was. They called 4 hits on Grace. I was pretty sure it hit the net as well. The IU East players were definitely sure. Do need to keep playing. You just never know what's going to get seen and not seen. Thankfully, the officials did agree on a 4 that there were 4 hits on the Grace side of the net.
Vegas serving for the Red Wolves. Lancers lead by 1, 15-14, match tied at 1. Morgenstein runner up front.
Tough one for the Red Wolves to lose there. I think both teams thought they'd won that point 2 or 3 times as several people got emphatic hands on it at the net, but the Lancers get the last word with that attack.
Only a 2-point game right now for the two teams, Grace College and IU East. And the ball going to the net on the Lancer side and give a point to the Red Wolves now, 16-15.
Say more action at the net. This time goes the Red Wolves' way.
Point to the Lancer, 17-15. Looks like number 20, Grace Woolsey, is going to come in for the Lancers. Steinbrenner up front with the point for the Red Wolves. That one will go straight to the floor, 17-16.
Nice attack by Morgan off the hands of Kayla Cruz for Grace. Gets it within one for the Red Wolves. Let's see if they can get over the hump.
Madison Yoder back to serve for the Red Wolves. Nice effort there by the Lancers, 18-16 now.
When Grace has been able to get someone outside, they've been trouble to a certain extent. If Grace is in the system, there isn't going to be much IU East can do about it. So definitely need good serves and to keep the pressure on if you're the IU East side of the net.
This one just over the net once again. And a point to the Lancers off of a possible net violation, Kyle?
No, I think it was all legal. IU East hit it under the net. From our angle, it almost looked like it may have been under, but no, the IU East touch actually went under the net, so point for Grace on that.
Nice block up front by the Red Wolves, and a point to IU East, 19-17.
All right, important time for IU East here. It's been a 1, 2, 3-point game for quite some time now. The Red Wolves need to start thinking about making a push. Definitely don't want to let Grace get a big push of their own as we get in the late stages of this third set.
20th point of the set for Grace. We'll go to number 20, Grace Woolsey, off the kill. 20-17. Lancers have the lead. Lightly over the net for Katrina Detweiler. Mallory Livingston.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but so impressed with Bailey Gates' blocking activity in her first 2 matches of her college career. Ironically, the stats she provided on her signing day biography, a lot of kills, didn't mention any blocks. I don't know if they didn't keep them for her team or if this is a new development in her skill set, but so impressed with what she's done at the net in the early going. And there's another one. I'll just keep talking about it, and it seems like if I mention it, she keeps getting them. So let's see. If I can fill about 6 minutes talking about Bailey's blocks, that'll get us to 25 points.
After the 2 blocks there by Bailey Gates, only a 1-point set now, 20-19 for the Red Wolves. Detweiler serving for IU East.
Huge serve for Katrina.
That'll tie it up at 20. Grace is going to take a timeout. Once again, we're tied at 20, and the match is tied at 1. We'll be right back with more Indiana University East Volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network.
I'm Dr. Ganesh Ramachandran, the region's only hand specialist at Reed Orthopedic Center. Patients love how easy it is having everything under one roof and how easy it is to get here. Right here at Reed Orthopedic Center, right here in Richmond.
Tied up at 20 here at Grace College. Red Wolves tied it up at 20 after being down by several points. And Bailey Gates really had a lot to do with it there with her blocks.
Just on fire at the net. That serve went a little deep. But, yeah, Bailey really turned the momentum with the blocks she's been able to get at the net.
21-20 after the serve goes long. Grace will take the lead back by 1. Red Wolves able to keep this one alive and get it back across the net. And number 15, Sierra Smith, with the kill for the Lancers to give them the 2-point lead, 22-20.
Very key point here. Obviously, not until they get to 24 is it a quote-unquote must-win, but 23-20 is not a situation you want to be in late in the set. The Red Wolves would definitely increase their percentages if they can get this point here.
Yoder unable to keep the ball alive. No one there able to help her.
Nice serve by Annie Salazar for Grace. Seems like the Lancers, late stages of both sets, have come up with some, I don't know how the depth perception is on the screen, but very low, very powerful serves that have given them the advantage at these key stretches.
23-20 for the Lancers. And that one will go under the net as well. Set point, but a timeout taken by the Red Wolves. Grace College leads 24-20 here in the third set. We'll be right back with more Red Wolves volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
Set point here for the Grace College Lancers as they lead the third set 24-20, looking to take the lead in the match 2-1. Here's the serve for the Lancers. Looks like number 5, Annie Salazar, serving for the Lancers. Ball now on the side for the Red Wolves. There's Mallory Livingston, and Lancers unable to keep the ball alive, and that will narrow the lead down to 3, 24-21.
24-21, and again, do or die at this point. Red Wolves need a 3-point run to stay alive in this one.
Bailey Gates serving now for the Red Wolves. Skill attempt there by Caitlin Kerrigan. A little long, and narrows it down to 2, 24-22.
Lost our scoreboard. I apologize. We'll keep you updated on the score as it goes. 24-22 is where we're at right now.
There's a kill by number 15, Sierra Smith, and that will bring the third set to a close, 25-22. Grace College will take the win in the third set and lead the match 2-1. We'll be right back with more Indiana University East volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network. And welcome back to IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network. Right now, the Grace College Lancers lead the match 2-1 after winning the second and third sets 25-21 and 25-22. Red Wolves won the first set 25-23 and looking for a win here in the fourth set. Kyle, if you're the Red Wolves, what are you doing here in the fourth set?
They've been basically right there. I think it was, if it wasn't exactly 20-20, I know for a fact it was 20-20 in the third. I'm pretty sure it was close to 20-20 in the fourth, in the second, and that's where it got away, those last 5 points of the set. So I think they've pretty well proven they can definitely play with this Grace team. Again, a very strong team from a very strong conference. At this point, I'd say it just comes down to making the plays at winning time. Once it gets to 20-20 or so, the last two sets, Grace has been the team that's made the push to take the set. Red Wolves going to need to, they've gotten early leads in each of the last two sets, so either going to need a push at mid-set to build a more comfortable lead so it won't matter as much, or they're going to need to be the team to make that push late in the set to take the set.
All right, Lancers will serve to get things started here in the fourth set. Looks like number 11, Ellie Harp, will serve to get things started here for the Grace College Lancers. Nice effort up front by Bailey Gates. And the point will go to the Red Wolves as that one not in bounds.
Good start. I believe IU East was down, it wasn't much, just 1-zip or 2-zip in each of the last two sets. But then when you get to the end, if you lose the set 25-22, then, yeah, you'd kind of like to have those 2 points back. So even though 1-0, a small thing, but, hey, you'll take it.
Katrina Detweiler was serving for the Red Wolves. A point to the Lancers, however, and ties things up at 1. Out off the hands of the IU East defense and into the bleachers. 2-1 now for the Lancers.
Need a good first touch if you're IU East. Need a good first touch, get in the system, and stop this run right now.
Here's the 2-1 serve. Barely kept alive there by the Red Wolves. A nice effort. Detweiler trying to keep the ball alive. 3-1. That's something Franklin and I talked about the other night when we were playing Judson. Is sometimes it's harder for the taller players to get down there and keep the ball in the air.
It is. Just as you don't put 5'2" people at the net, same logic extends to the back. Katrina now and some of the other, and Mallory as well, you see those two playing a lot of back row. Worked all spring. We had a limited number of players, so they did tons and tons and tons of defensive work. So lots of work on it. There's been a few rough moments here early in the season, but as much work as they put in the spring and the brush-up work they'll be able to do in the fall, I think it'll be a strength by the end of the year.
Livingston up front for the Red Wolves. And that's a point to IU East, 3-2.
It's a case hustle paid off. Red Wolves just kept putting hands in the way, and on the last swing by Grace, it paid off for a block and a point.
Gates back to serve for IU East.
And that had some sting on it. About an inch over the net, dropped right down for an ace.
Tied up at 3 in the fourth set. Grace College leads the match 2-1. Just to the left of Bailey Gates. 4-3 now for the Lancers.
Red Wolves starting to get a step slow on the, I don't know if it's necessarily the reaction time. I'm going to guess it may be a little bit of fatigue factor at this point in the match, but basically can't let that happen. It just can't be an excuse at this point. But a few balls where the Red Wolves were quicker off the mark in the first few sets. A split second later right now, and that's enough for a clean pass to become a kill or an ace. So need to find a little second wind. There's not going to be any time to rest at all anytime soon this weekend, as we know. So leave it on the line. They've got a whole week to rest before the next tournament. don't feel the fatigue at this point in the game.
Tied up at 4. Here's the serve from Madison Mangus off of the Red Wolves. Mangus able to keep the ball alive for IU East, and Livingston with the kill for the 5-4 lead.
Great cover you mentioned by Madison Mangus, pays off in a nice swing and a kill for Mallory Livingston.
Nice block up front by Morgan Steinbrenner. Now 6-4 lead for the Red Wolves.
Again, IU East with the early lead at this point in the set. Let's see if they can extend it. I don't think they've been able to extend it to more than a 3-point lead at any time.
Another point to the Red Wolves, 7-4 now with the 3-point lead.
Nice quick reaction by Morgan Steinbrenner, and I think we're going to see a timeout by the Lancers.
So Grace is going to take a timeout. IU East leads the set in the fourth set, 7-4. We'll be right back with more IU East volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And we're back with more IU East volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network. Red Wolves have the 7-4 lead.
Like I said, I think 3's been the artificial barrier. I can't recall us leading by more than 3 at any point in the last few sets. If they can build a little cushion here, that would, goes without saying, that would bode well for this fourth set.
Nice effort there by number 15, Sierra Smith, for the point for the Lancers, now 7-5. Cuts the Red Wolves' lead down to 2. Like you've mentioned, keeping the Red Wolves inside that 3-point barrier.
Yeah, Grace done a good job throughout staying in contact. That's been the reason they've been in position to make those little pushes that they've made at the end of each of the last 2 sets.
Unable to get the ball back across, gives the 3-point lead back to the Red Wolves, 8-5.
Another nice touch by Morgan Steinbrenner. There was a stretch, there's been a lengthy match, it's starting to run together, but there was a stretch where IUE seemed to be tipping. I'm sure they had a purpose, but it was tipping not quite as effectively. They've had a few tip attempts on the last few points that have been very, very effective. So they've definitely made some kind of adjustment, or either the players or coaches have. The times they've gone for the tip, it's worked very well of late.
Good block up front by Morgan Steinbrenner, but it went out of bounds. 8-6 now as Grace College will serve. On kind of an unrelated note, this has to be the coldest gym I've ever been inside of.
So the bus was a little chilly too, which I am definitely not complaining. Having been on plenty of August trips, I definitely want that air conditioning to work. But a little chilly in here. We've had some cold ones in the Tiernan Center as well. But I guess the bus ride up, and IU East folks, I'm not complaining. I'm thrilled that the air conditioning works well on the bus, but if nothing else, it conditioned us well for the conditions in here. And probably good for the players, actually. I mean, if you got to play 4 matches in 24 and a half hours, much better to do it in a well air-conditioned gym as opposed to a sweat box.
Another point to the Red Wolves, 10-6 lead now for IU East.
All right, chance to really extend it here. Got it up to 4 points. Let's see if they can push out to 5. And when you're in that case, you're in really strong position to take a set.
Kayla Yoder Madison Yoder, unable to keep the ball alive in the air. And now 7-10, point to Grace College.
And that was actually a heck of an adjustment by Grace's hitter, Tori Bontrager. I apologize if I missed that mispronunciation. The set wasn't where she expected to be. She was able to take a small step, readjust, and get a heck of a swing on it. Full credit to the Grace player for that attack.
Lead narrowed down to 2 points for the Red Wolves, 10-8. Here's the serve, right to Detweiler. And that one will drop behind Bigley Gates for a point to the Lancers, 10-9.
That was the case. Grace, from what I could tell in system throughout that point, Red Wolves pretty much out of system throughout. Did a good job staying in it, but Grace able to wear out the Red Wolves at the end of that point.
Another point to the Lancers, tied up at 10.
Had the hands there, but went the wrong way from the IU East perspective.
All right, so we have a timeout on the floor, tied at 10. We'll be right back with more IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network.
Dylan Newman had a terrible dislocated shoulder after a bad dirt bike accident. The long-term solution, surgery and intense rehab.
I trusted Reed Orthopedics because they had already fixed my ankle. And within 4 months of my surgery, Dr. Miller and my Reed therapist, April, helped me to regain my motion and most of my strength. Thanks to Reed Ortho, I can get back to what I love. It's all about trust. Right, Dr. Miller?
Right here at Reed.
Right here in Richmond.
Welcome back to IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolf Sports Network, tied up at 10 in the fourth set. Grace College leads the match 2-1. And a nice effort up front by Katrina Detweiler, and that will give the 1-point lead back to the Red Wolves.
Very nice timing. Grace had run off 4 points in a row, so good to stop that run and still never fall behind. That means IU East has kept the lead throughout this set.
Another block up front by Morgan Dobbs. Now a 2-point lead for IU East, 12-10.
Seems like one team or the other is dominating the blocking. At first it was IU East, then there was a stretch where it seemed like Grace was the one benefiting from all the play at the net. The pendulum seems to have swung back in the favor of the Red Wolves as far as who's getting those 50-50 balls at the net.
There's a point to the Lancers, 12-11.
This is Ellie Harp serving. The reason I bring that up, she had the long string of serves at the end of the second set that put Grace in position to win it. So the quicker IU East can get out of, either get Grace out of this rotation or get out of this rotation on their own end, the better. And Katrina does the trick.
Point there for the Red Wolves, 13-11. As you mentioned, Ellie Harp for the Grace Lancers. She was an All-Crossroads League Performer of the Year last year.
And if you're All-Crossroads League, you are good.
Block up front by number 20, Grace Woolsey. 13-12 now after the point went to the Lancers. Morgan Dobbs up front for the Red Wolves. Here's Dobbs again. This will stay in bounds for a point to the Red Wolves, 14-12.
I will say anytime that was a short serve by Grace, the very first part of the first set, it threw IU East out of sync a little bit. Since then, they've handled that part quite well. So it's good that there have been matches I've seen for many teams where just serving short the whole match is throwing a team completely out of whack. So it's good to see that is something the Red Wolves definitely seem to have covered on the serve receive.
This ball high in the air. And nice effort over there, but still out. And that will make the score for 14-13. Excuse me.
If it had been a tennis match, that would have been point IU East. You can go around the post on that. The Grace player was a little, you could tell, it's like, wait a minute, I just caught a ball, but that should have been our point. And then realize, oh, yeah, around the post. So one case I would have liked to have been doing tennis scoring here.
14-13. IUE still has the 1-point lead. Here's Livingston. Lots of movement on the Grace College side of the floor. Livingston getting the ball back across the net for the Red Wolves. And double hits called on the Red Wolves, ties things up at 14.
Point you hate to lose. Once they, when I keep stats, I write down all the touches before I put in the computer, and anytime it gets to the second line of a piece of paper, which that point most assuredly did, you just hate to lose those points because at that point, both teams have put so much effort into it. So that one goes Grace's way. Let's see if IUEs can recover quickly.
Point there to the Lancers, 15-14. They now have the 1-point lead once again. Even though there's only a 1-point lead for the Lancers, it's kind of crunch time right now for IU East.
It is being down 2-1. Grace can play with a little more margin for error, which can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how much you relax or play relaxed. IU East got to win it to stay alive.
Steinbrenner up front with the block, 15-15 now here in the fourth set.
And you mentioned it'll be interesting to see, really, against Judson when IU East was in do-or-die situation. I thought the fourth set, their first set obviously was their best. That was the one they won. Their fourth set was their second best. I thought they responded well in that do-or-die situation, even though they didn't actually win the set. So hopefully have the same approach here.
I definitely agree with you on that about Wednesday night. Ball went long. Now a point to the Lancers, 16-15. Once again with the 1-point lead.
Red Wolves got a hand. It did go long, but Red Wolves got a hand on it, so a point for the Lancers. Nice. It takes all three parts. The serve receive, the pass was perfect, which made for an easy set for Caitlin, which made for just an absolute sitting duck for Mallory. So I know when I first started this, I just assumed it's all about the hitters, the hitters, the hitters. It really is every piece, and every piece was there on that particular play.
Tied up at 16. Ball goes to Detweiler. Yoder there. Steinbrenner trying to block, and Yoder unable to keep the ball alive. 17-16 now Grace.
Thought she had it for a second, not quite able to get there. What I do like, even though she didn't get that, there's I mentioned there was starting to be a lull on reaction time on the defensive end for a few Red Wolves. That seems to have gone away. So as long as they're making the move right away, I mean, it's not always going to work, but seem to be playing past that fatigue factor at this point.
Steinbrenner up front, point to the Red Wolves, ties it up at 17.
Nice touch. Again, she's tipping with a purpose. Not necessarily unloading the full cannon on every shot, but when she's tipped, she's not just tipping out of default mode. She is definitely hitting softly with a purpose. And the last several times that she's tipped, I think it's resulted in a point for IU East.
Nice effort there. Looked like number 11.
That was the setter. Ellie Harp just decided to take matters into her own hands on that. I don't recall a whole lot of quick attacks or setter dumps or pick your volleyball term from Grace in particular, but she obviously saw something and decided to take matters into her own hands on that.
18-17. Grace has the lead here in the fourth set by 1.
Someone hit the net. Let's see. They're just gonna say straight kill for Bailey Gates, but you could probably even see that on the stream, even if you're watching in the little window. A whole bunch of people hit the net on that.
Tied up at 18 now. Morgan Dobbs back in for the Red Wolves. Caitlin Kelly serving for IU East right now.
I believe they're going to... Yep, had a Red Wolf in the net. I was looking at the wrong ref to see which number, but had a Red Wolf in the net, so point for Grace.
19-18. Grace with the 1-point lead here in the fourth set and leads the match 2-1. All
right, this is where it's gotten away from the Red Wolves each of the last two sets. those that know volleyball probably can pinpoint a reason. To me, just Grace happened to get those points at those times. This is IU East really needs a run of 2 or 3 points right about this time.
Here's Detweiler, this one long, and a point to the Lancers, 20-18, now with a 2-point lead. Morgan Dobbs. Off the hands there of Bailey Gates, 21-18.
It's starting to slip away a little bit. Definitely don't want to let it get beyond a 3-point deficit here.
Detweiler able to get the ball across the net. Nice attack there by Katrina Detweiler.
I'll tell you, Madison Yoder saved that point for IU East on the next to last time on the Red Wolf side of the net. She was the one that stuck one hand up. If she really meant to send it to Caitlin, then I am utterly amazed because she just stuck a hand up and it went right to the IU East setter. And then when they actually did get the point, Caitlin had to make the dig. Madison was there for the set, which led to the kill. So great job by Madison on that point.
Point to the Lancers, 22-19. They have the 3-point lead.
All right, basically need a 6-1 run if you're IU East. The margin for error is almost gone. That's a good way to start.
That'll narrow the lead down to 2, 22-20.
That was Mallory Livingston on the kill. She led IU East with 13 in the first match. She's got at least that, if not more, in this one, I'm sure.
Serve from Bailey Gates. This one will go to the floor, 23-20.
Nice play by Grace's, ironically named Grace Woolsey. Did a nice play to put that down for the Lancers. That was good offense on their side of the net.
3-point lead here for the Lancers. Now it will be match point as the Grace College Lancers lead 24-20 and lead the match 2-1. And a point to the Lancers will close things up 25-20 in the fourth set. The Red Wolves will fall 3-1 to Grace College with scores of 25-23. Of course, IU East took the win there in the first set. Then in the second set, second through fourth sets, Grace College took the win 25-21, 25-22, and 25-20.
Obviously, we want to win, but I have to say, I believe most people would say much better for IU East. Still a few breakdowns from time to time, but the Judson match, the last 3 sets as a whole, I thought the Red Wolves were on their heels pretty much the whole time. This time, even though Grace pulled it out, I didn't think IU East spent wholesale sections of those sets on its heels. Grace obviously made the pushes that determined the match at the end of each set, and that's something the Red Wolves will need to be able to do. I mean, that's normal volleyball. Most sets are going to be close. You've got to be able to make the plays in the last stretch. But this time in position to be there to have a chance to make those plays, didn't make them, but progress over Wednesday night, I believe.
Yeah, definitely seems like there's a lot more progress between Wednesday and tonight. Possibly some of that just from practice the past few days.
Maybe. They only had one day, so it's one of those things you can't reinvent the wheel in one day. But some of the adjustments, I think, were fairly simple to make. Some of it, I think, was probably just a matter of instilling a little bit of pat on the back and, hey, you can do it after Wednesday night. So some progress, and, yeah, they can keep making progress at that rate. Some of these issues will get cleared up in no time flat.
All right, Cal, you might know a little more about this than I do. Will Coach Niekamp be up here to talk to us?
We'll give a break between this one because they're going to be playing in only 45 minutes actually against Goshen. And programming note, you'll need to, if you're watching online, and we hope you've enjoyed it. It's our brand new YouTube setup with vMix software. I want to thank Todd Duke and Ryan Harris for their work last spring to set up this setup. We hope you've enjoyed we think the increased quality of the broadcast. It's going to be a different link, so you'll want to kind of shut down for a little bit and then come back. It'll be a different spot on the server. It'll still be at the IUE Red Wolves and at the volleyball broadcast page, but if you leave it up without refreshing, it's not going to go to the new game. So you're going to want to shut down the computer for a little bit, maybe grab a snack, come back to watch Goshen and IU East at 5:30.
All right, Grace College takes the 3-1 win over the Red Wolves with scores of 25-21, 25-22, and 25-20 in the second through fourth sets. We look forward to seeing you at 5:30 as the Red Wolves take on Goshen. Thanks for listening to IU East Volleyball on the Red Wolves Sports Network.